Right, back live with you tonight, you're in Focus. To this now, it's reported that some over 9,000 Eastern Cape pupils have reached matric without passing a grade in their school living lives. These pupils are said to have been assisted by the Eastern Cape Education through the progression policy that allows pupils to go to the next grade without having passed the current year. The department says this is aimed at reducing the province's high dropout rate. For more on this now, I'm joined by Malibongwe, Mtima, Eastern Cape Department of Education spokesperson. Malibongwe, good to have you, and thank you very much for your time. The progression policy has been a part of the government of South Africa, I think, since 2005. But is it widely used to the extent that you could have 9,300 or so learners in the system who are just constantly being progressed throughout the grades?
Thanks, Thabo, for having me, and good evening. Remember, for starters, that these learners are a product of rationalization and realignment. We have identified them from these schools because these schools are small, unviable schools that are unable to produce quality learners because of the fact that in terms of the allocation, remember, we're using the Asian model when it comes to allocation of resourcing or provision of resourcing to schools, which means that for us to fund a school, it's based on learner numbers. Then if, for instance, let me make a typical example. If, for instance, a small school has got about 43 learners, it means that school qualifies for 2 educators. Remember, that school is starting from grade R to grade 7. Then those learners are robbed an opportunity to get education because those educators are not enough for them to provide quality education. Hence, we're saying these small unviable schools that are about 937 should be closed or must undergo this transformation so that at the end of the day, they are able to become better schools in the form of merger, realignment, and or increasing or extensions.
Yeah. So in the absence of that, you are saying those schools currently are restricted from retaining struggling learners for more than 1 year, at least for more than 2 years, it seems.
Look, the fact is, even if, remember, there's a policy on progression that states that a learner cannot stay more than 4 years in a phase. So that, coupling with the fact that a learner must meet the prerequisite to be progressed, makes it possible for these learners, if they meet the minimum requirements to be progressed, at the end of the day, it compromises the level of education because they've got a knowledge gap, which is caused by the time that they are not having a teacher in front of them, which is the contact time. So we're saying to make sure that we avert this in the near future, let's ensure that these schools that have been producing these learners, because this cohort that we're talking about is at grade 12. So we're saying to avert this in the near future, let's make sure that the policy is implemented to ensure that, one, schools are meeting the prototype as pronounced by the minister or then minister, that one, there must be prototype A, which is a primary school that starts from grade R to grade 7 that have a minimum number of 135. And a prototype B, that is a high school that starts from grade 8 to grade 12. Yeah. Remember, a majority of the schools, like if I can give you a little bit of a feedback, as in rural areas, and some of these schools are not just small schools. There are sometimes schools that need to be realigned because you get a school that is a junior secondary or a school that is a junior primary or a higher primary, which is not in line with the prototypes that the government has pronounced on. So that's why we're saying, due to that and other issues, we have had now a cohort of about 9,000 learners whom are aware that they've been progressed for them to be where they are. But to ensure that that does not happen in the near future, we've developed a 5-year plan that states that the 978 schools, how are we going to ensure that over 5 years we deal with them? For instance, between 2025 and 2026, we're supposed to close about 238 schools. Of the 238 schools, only 38 schools should be closed. Others should be merged so that they form, they are in line with the policy. For instance, they may be primary schools or junior primary schools or senior primary schools or junior secondary schools or senior secondary schools. We need to make sure that they are in line with the policy so that at the end of the day, the product that we get is a learner that has received public quality education because they have received all the necessary support from the system.
I understand. I hear the intervention at the school level, but my concern now is on the well-being of the learners themselves. What is the plan regarding the 9,000 learners, which you have already articulated have got a gap in education? How are we working to bridge the gap in education in those learners?
As since the beginning of the year, remember we've picked them up from analyzing the results. Since the beginning of the year, the department has had a number of interventions like the Learner Attainment Improvement Strategy and other programs that ensure that while these learners receive proper attention when it comes to academics, and also we train them enough so that they are able to respond to questions in an appropriate way towards examinations. Because amongst other things that we want to make sure is that while they will be responding to or they will be receiving the revision or the support academically, they should be able also to stand or to withstand the test of time in the exam room, through ensuring that they meet the timelines, they are able to respond to questions appropriately, and also we give them motivational speakings where we tell them that the exam room is not the end of the day. They must take it easy. They must not have anxiety, and we promote that they must relax so that at the end of the day, whatever they've received or they've accumulated during that period of time is not lost due to anxiety. And we're also giving them apart from the weekend classes or morning classes, we're also having camps that are tailor-made to ensure that we bridge the gap. When they enter into these camps, they write examinations where we test where we want to evaluate the knowledge that they have accumulated. Upon receiving that, we're able, therefore, to ensure that the intervention does cover the whole content that had a gap, so that at the end of the day, the learner is ready for the final examinations in December.
Is this not adding strain on the teachers themselves, pressure on the teachers who must now provide this extra support for the learners who have been progressed?
Look, the intervention classes that we are having, we have appointed expert educators for them to ensure that they are able to look at those things, and they've got extensive experience, not only in teaching, but in analyzing the behavior of the learner in class so that they are able to assist the learner where there is a necessity. On top of that, since we are now and then analyzing the results, and we've got a dashboard to be able to know which schools need support or on which areas, we're able to troubleshoot as the department. But like I said, to ensure that we do not miss any point, we're having these camps to ensure that we provide the necessary support to all of them. And remember, we bring the best of our educators so that they are able to do what is necessary. They may not be coming from the province, all of them. Some of them are coming within the province, but we're taking the best educators so that during that period or during these identified periods, they are able, therefore, to provide the necessary support to these learners so that at the end of the day, they can perform well.
And where is their next learning, I suppose, opportunity? Do they then go out to TVET colleges? Do they go out to tertiary education? What do you find would be their cognitive ability in terms of progressing further with their studies?
Look, when we're supporting these learners, we identify them in various categories. For instance, if I can give you an example, if we've got 3 categories, the first category will be those that are best performing from that cohort. Number 2, those are needing support, mild support. Number 3, those that are needing heavy support. What we do is from the beginning of the year, in fact, the program starts at grade 11, where we push and hold them so that they don't fall back, and We take the first ones, we ensure that they are stable where they are. We take the second group, we push them up and hold them to ensure that they don't fall back. And we ensure, while we are pushing them and holding them, we're ensuring that at the end of the day, we give them support that will not end, that will not crack them. And also, like I said, the educators that are dealing with them are not normally from the classes, are people that are expert in this field that sometimes we fetch from the universities and or other provinces, so that they can be able to assist. And we use the dashboard to ensure that when they teach and or provide the support to these learners, they don't provide outside, but it's a concerted effort based on the lessons that have been covered.
Appreciate your time. Thanks so much for coming on there and helping us understand some of the intricacies there of this particular process. That's Malibongwe Mtima, Eastern Cape Department of Education spokesperson. Right.